Football is called the beautiful game. It's played by millions, watched by billions, and gives us moments of pure magic. But sometimes, behind the fame, glory, and huge paychecks, there are stories that are anything but beautiful. Stories that are dark, shocking, and at times, heartbreaking. Today, we're diving into the 10 darkest stories about football players. Some of these are unbelievable. Others will leave you speechless. We will start with Adam Johnson. He was once living the dream. A talented winger who played for clubs like Manchester City and Sunderland, he was even capped by the English national team. However, in 2016, his career abruptly ended due to legal issues involving misconduct with a minor. At first, Johnson denied the charges, and many of his fans stood by him, unable to believe the accusations. But the evidence stacked up, and in a high-profile trial, he was convicted. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison. His fall from grace was swift and shocking, and it's a dark reminder that fame doesn't protect anyone from their actions. What makes this case even more disturbing is how quickly it all unraveled. Just days before his arrest, Johnson was playing in front of thousands of fans. Overnight, he went from a Premier League star to a prisoner. He was released after serving half his sentence, but will forever carry the stigma of his crime. Dani Alves, a Brazilian football legend, faced a harrowing chapter in his life in early 2023 when he was arrested in Spain on charges of sexual assault. The incident allegedly occurred in a Barcelona nightclub in December 2022, with the victim accusing Alves of inappropriate behavior and assault. Despite being one of the most successful and beloved footballers, with multiple trophies across various leagues, this scandal drastically shifted his public image. Alves has maintained his innocence, but the case has severely impacted his career and personal life, leaving a dark stain on his legacy. George Best. What a name, right? For anyone who's ever watched old football footage, you know Best wasn't just a player, he was an artist with the ball. Nicknamed the Fifth Beatle because of his looks and rock star lifestyle, Best was a sensation on and off the pitch. But while fans loved his talent, he battled an addiction that ultimately cut his career short. Best's love for alcohol was no secret, and it only got worse as his fame grew. He once famously said, "I spent a lot of money on booze, birds, and fast cars. The rest I just squandered." As funny as that sounds, his addiction led to a lot of problems. He was suspended from Manchester United, arrested several times, and by his late 20s, his once promising career was in freefall. Even after retiring from football, Best's battle with alcohol never really stopped. He needed a liver transplant in 2002, but continued drinking after that. He passed away in 2005 due to complications related to alcohol abuse. George Best is remembered as one of the greatest players ever, but also as a tragic figure who couldn't overcome his inner demons. Adriano was supposed to be Brazil's next big star, and for a while, it seemed like he was. Nicknamed the Emperor for his dominant performances, Adriano had the kind of power and finesse that could terrorize defenders. He was a regular for Brazil's national team and a key player for Inter Milan in Italy. But despite all the success, tragedy was brewing in Adriano's personal life. In 2004, his father passed away, and for Adriano, this was a turning point. He sank into depression, and like many athletes before him, he turned to alcohol. His form on the pitch began to suffer, and soon, he was missing training sessions and falling out with coaches. His decline was rapid. By 2010, at just 28 years old, Adriano had left Europe and returned to Brazil, but he was never the same player again. What makes Adriano's story so heartbreaking is that at his peak, he could have been the best striker in the world, but personal loss and addiction led him down a dark path. This is one of the most disturbing stories to ever come out of the world of football. Bruno Fernandes de Souza. A Brazilian goalkeeper who was once highly regarded, had a bright future ahead of him. He played for Flamengo, one of Brazil's biggest clubs, and was even tipped for a spot on the national team. But his career and his life took a horrifying turn. In 2010, Bruno was arrested and later convicted for orchestrating the murder of his former girlfriend, Eliza Samudio. The case shocked Brazil and the world of football. Eliza had gone to court claiming Bruno was the father of her child, which Bruno denied. In a horrific turn of events, Bruno not only had her killed, but also admitted that her body was disposed of by being fed to dogs. Bruno was sentenced to over 22 years in prison. However, the controversy didn't end there. In a move that outraged many, he was granted early release in 2019 after serving just 9 years. Despite the horrific nature of his crime, some clubs showed interest in signing him, further stoking public anger. Bruno's story is a chilling example of how fame and talent can be overshadowed by unforgivable acts. Diego Maradona. The name alone gives you goosebumps. One of the greatest players of all time, his skills on the field were almost supernatural. That solo goal against England in the 1986 World Cup still stands as one of the greatest moments in football history. But while Maradona was untouchable on the pitch, off it, his life was full of turmoil. Maradona's battle with addiction was legendary. He became heavily involved with drugs, particularly cocaine, during his time playing for Napoli in Italy. His issues with drugs led to multiple suspensions, health scares, and a career that could have been even greater had he stayed clean. It wasn't just drugs either. Maradona was involved in countless controversies, paternity suits, tax evasion, and violent outbursts. In 1994, he was sent home from the World Cup after failing a drug test. Even after his playing days were over, Maradona's chaotic lifestyle continued, and when he passed away in 2020, it marked the end of a brilliant but troubled life. Paul Gascoigne, better known as Gaza, was the heart and soul of English football in the late 80s and early 90s. With his quick feet, vision, and raw passion, he was a fan favorite wherever he played. But alongside his footballing genius came a wild lifestyle, and with it, a battle with alcohol that has lasted his entire life. Gaza's struggles became public in the later years of his career, as his drinking habits often made headlines. He has checked in and out of rehab more times than anyone can count and has struggled with mental health issues. There have been moments of hope, times when it seemed like he had turned a corner. But time and again, Gaza's demons have pulled him back down. Despite all the problems, Gaza remains one of the most beloved footballers in England. Fans still chant his name, remembering the brilliance he brought to the pitch, even if his life off it has been full of pain. Robinho burst onto the scene as one of the most exciting young talents in world football. He played for giants like Real Madrid, Manchester City, and AC Milan, but his career has now been overshadowed by something far more sinister. In 2017, Robinho was convicted of sexual assault in a case that dated back to 2013 when he was playing in Italy. The court found that Robinho, along with 5 other men, was involved in the assault of a woman at a nightclub. Despite the conviction and a 9-year prison sentence, Robinho denied the charges and appealed the decision. His legal battles continue to this day, but the damage to his legacy is irreversible. It's hard to imagine that a player who once wowed fans on the pitch is now more known for a criminal case than for his skills with the ball. Marc-Vivien Foé was a powerful midfielder for Cameroon and had a promising international career. But in 2003, tragedy struck during the FIFA Confederations Cup. In the middle of a match against Colombia, Foé suddenly collapsed on the pitch. The sight was horrifying. Medical staff rushed to his aid, but despite their efforts, Foé never regained consciousness. He was just 28 years old, and it was later revealed that he had a previously undiagnosed heart condition. His death sent shockwaves through the football world and raised concerns about player health and safety. Next is perhaps the most tragic story in football history. Andrés Escobar was a solid defender for Colombia and was known for his professionalism and sportsmanship. But in the 1994 World Cup, he made an unfortunate mistake. In a match against the USA, Escobar accidentally scored an own goal, contributing to Colombia's elimination from the tournament. While mistakes happen all the time in football, the consequences for Escobar were fatal. Just days after returning to Colombia, he was shot and killed outside a nightclub in Medellin. Many believe that his murder was connected to drug cartels or gambling syndicates that had lost money because of the result. Escobar's death shocked the entire world, serving as a reminder of how dangerous and violent the world surrounding football can sometimes become. Football is a beautiful game, but as we've seen today, it also has its darker side. These players, who gave us so many incredible moments, have also lived through tragedies, scandals, and unimaginable struggles. If you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. And remember, there's always more than meets the eye when it comes to life on and off the pitch.